Hi everyone and welcome back. Welcome to our 2025 Life Reset series second month. So this year is very special for me. I All my life, more than 15 years, I have worked in corporate sector. We all change, life changes, and so does our goals. Last year was a very significant year for me because I decided to quit my job and start my own home business. So, when you are your own boss, you know that you have to be a lot more disciplined and organized. This year, for me, is the year of being better organized, more disciplined, create a life that I've always wanted to create. And this series, a part of my journey that I wanted to share with you. I've already created 3 videos in this series last month. So the idea is to have systems in a very holistic way related to your home, your organization, your life, your habits, something that will help you all through the rest of your life to be able to more organized and disciplined. Why we are creating a series and not talking about all this in one video. The thing is, if we plan to change our lives or ourselves, everything about us in one go, the odds are we won't succeed. By creating this series, I want you to come along with me in this journey where every month or every couple of weeks we are working on one habit. Okay, without further ado, let's get to today's topic, sleeping. A well rested body means the next day is going to be more productive, you'll have more patience, you can achieve more because your body has got the time to heal and reset. I am going to share with you some of the things that I have tried over time that work for me or some of my challenges and how I'm planning to overcome them. The first thing that we're going to tackle now is determine our sleep duration, or to be more correct, determine your rest duration. Why I'm saying restoration and not sleep, we'll talk about it in a while. For all of us, how much sleep we need will look different. Personally, I need at least 7 hours of sleep, like sleep time. And that's why I said it's different from rest time. Sleep time for me is the practically when you are asleep. Rest time, like for myself, it's somewhere a few hours more than my sleep time because I'm somebody who can go to bed but need some time to fall asleep, an hour or something before I can actually fall asleep. So when I calculate my sleep time, I have my sleep time 7 hours plus 1 hour. That's my unwinding time, relaxing time. I go to bed, do few things to help my mind rest. We'll talk about it in a bit. And plus, I need 1 more hour because my children are still young. They wake up several times during the night. So I need to wake up, and I am not somebody who easily falls asleep again. So if I wake up 3 or 4 times, it means 10, 15 minutes every single time to fall back to sleep. So my sleep time would be 9 hours, which means 7 hours of effective sleep plus 2 cushion hours. Now, for all of us, this duration will look different depending on how active we are mentally and physically during the day, what age we are in, probably. I know in my 20s, I never cared about sleep. Like, that was the last thing I would talk or worry about. Now I need to sleep more. Similarly, there are so many other things that may affect your sleeping pattern. So, when you are trying to make your night routine, your sleep routine, think about it, how many hours of effective sleep your body requires. If you are a quick sleeper, like my husband, go to bed and in a couple of minutes he's already asleep. Like I marveled at this. So think about it, how many hours of sleep or how many hours of staying in bed you need to function properly the next day. So now the next thing that we're going to do is determine what time we're going to go to bed. Depending on what time you need to wake up, you work backwards and you see what time you need to go to bed because you already know how many hours of sleep you need. For me, I generally wake up at 7. I'm not an early morning person. For me, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, no, they don't work. I wake up at 7. So for me, working backwards, 7 hours of sleep plus 2 cushion hours means I need 9 hours backward. I would like to go to bed at 10. Once you have your sleep time, now we'll start working on our last chores of the evening that will permit us to stick to our sleep time. And that's creating our last chores of the day list. Think about all those chores in the evening, starting from your dinner time onwards. Whatever last activities of the day you do, probably prepare your children's next day, probably clean your kitchen, your own night routine, skincare, whatever, ironing clothes, tidying up the house, whatever are the things that you do in the evening, could be from dinner time till the time you go to bed. Just create a list of those things and see how many hours, how much time those chores require. That's how you can determine your evening routine. You can know how much time you need to do the things that you need to do before going to bed. If you do not know this part, which is so crucial, you will never be able to go to bed at a fixed time. For me, my evening routine goes something like this. I have a fixed alarm for 6 p.m. And when this alarm goes on, I know if I'm working or I'm outside or I'm doing anything, I need to drop everything and take care of the dinner. So sometimes if I know that I have extra work to do in office, I have more things to take care of with children or anything else on my list, I normally have prepared meals in my freezer that are for these evenings, or sometimes we have leftover, or sometimes we know there are certain meals that I can prepare in 5 to 10 minutes. For me, the important thing is that at 6 o'clock, I need to think about it. What are we going to have at dinner? Because if I want to serve dinner at 7 to my children, I cannot start thinking about what they're going to eat at 7. Because in that case, or I'm giving them junk to eat, or the dinner would be late. So at 6, not necessarily that every day you start cooking, but you need to know what's for dinner. I know there are people who think about it early in the morning. Sometimes we discuss even our lunch table what we're going to have for dinner. Whatsoever, at 6, you need to know what's for dinner. At 7, my children normally start their dinner. Between 7 to 8:30 is the time with children. They eat, we talk, probably read something. I change their pajamas and everything that we need to take care of before they go to bed. 8:30 they're in bed. Between 8:30 to 10 is my last chores of the daytime. Now, something very important about this 1.5 hour. For me, very often this has been a distraction time because I'm tired, because I've done so many things during the day. Very often during this time, I would take my phone, sit for 5 minutes just to relax 5 minutes before I take care of other stuff, and then an hour has passed. There are a few things that I have added in my this last an hour and a half that has helped me stay focused, not being distracted on social media and stuff like that. One thing that has helped me is put some soft music. So often, what I did, I still do sometimes, but earlier I would put a podcast or something to listen, a watch, a show, something, and I would say, okay, it's playing in the background and I'm doing my stuff. But at least for me, even though I'm very happy that I'm a multitasker, oh, I often enjoy multitasking, but I'm also very aware of the fact that that takes you much more time to finish your stuff. Even if I'm loading the dishes or cleaning the kitchen, I know if there's something on TV which I enjoy watching, and once in a while we all give ourselves the luxury of having a relaxed evening, but I know that takes me more time. So depending on how many things you need to do, probably you can decide is today a good day to work with TV, with I don't know, something on YouTube, or probably some soft music will help. Now, playing music in the background distract you less generally. Another thing that has helped me is to dim the lights, probably add a few candle lights. That's kind of creating the ambience which will later help you fall asleep slightly quicker. Adding some music, some soft lights, no social media. These three things I try to keep in mind. We all have our days when we want to do what we want to do. So now we have done the last chores of the day. We are ready to get into our bed. And just like I mentioned earlier, for me, I go to bed an hour before I actually want to sleep because I give myself that time to relax and unwind. Now, this is the time that earlier I would finish everything and then I'll sit in front of the TV or um, some social media with my phone, and I realized that that was really interrupting with my sleep pattern. In the last few months, I have started to live this time in a slightly different way, and that's what I wanted to share with you. So at 10, when I go to bed, the first thing I do is I take my planner and I start to look at what my next day is going to look like. If I need to make some adjustments, add a few things, make some notes. If there's a meeting and I have a thought about it, I would just jot down everything. Now, this is just looking at your planner. I'm not planning my next day. The plan's already been made. I'm just looking at it to give it a last check, and that takes around 5 to 10 minutes, sometimes even less. And I do it on my physical planner. It's not on the phone or on my mobile, on my computer. Second thing that I do is I write my journal. That's also not something that I do every day, but I do have a journal beside me every single day. If I'm not very sleepy, if I don't feel like closing my eyes right away, I will just write something. It could be some gratitude journaling or just dumping your thoughts generally about the day. That also is not more than 10-15 minutes. And then the last few minutes, around 15 to 20 minutes, that's also something new that I've added to my routine, is I do crochet. I tried for a very long time that I do not look at my phone when I enter into the bed. Now, the thing is, as it works for children, I know from experience with my own children and from everything that I've read about children, it does not help when you tell them, don't do this. If they're jumping, if they're shouting, if they're doing something dangerous, it does not help if you tell them, don't do this. What helps is to provide them an alternative. The same works also for us, the elders, saying yourself, I'm not going to use social media after this time or at night or I don't know, before going to bed, does not help. You need to provide yourself an alternative that's equally gratifying. And I have recently found my love for crochet. It can be anything for you. It can be, I don't know, sketching or knitting or something else, anything, something that you can think of. Once I'm done with crochet, which is 15-20 minutes every night, normally around 10-15 minutes before 11 o'clock, I turn off the lights. It's a day. I shut my eyes a few more minutes with my thoughts or some prayers, and I drift to sleep. That's been my New Year's night routine. It's helping so far. I hope I can stick to it. And yes, it's definitely, it's been a game changer for my mornings. And soon we'll do another video on morning routine as well. Before we end, a few more things that I'd like to give you as bonus tips. So one thing is, it did not help me create a night routine because if the phone was by my side, I ended up grabbing it for some reason or the other. So, some things that have really helped is to think of all the reasons why you need your phone in your bedroom or by your bedside table and try to eliminate those excuses. One was I started using my phone to read my books, do my journal. I would turn on my phone's night light, the torch, and I would do my things, night routine things with that. I have replaced that with a nice bedside lamp. When I'm doing my night stuff, I don't want to turn on my bedroom's light. I want dim lights, I want soft lights. Another was my alarm clock because my alarm was on my phone. I would suggest you to buy an alarm clock, even something very, very ordinary, cheap, something that you can put in the drawer during the day if it's not perfect to display, but some things that will make you a little less dependent on your phone. Another thing that has helped me is to create this designated place where every evening when I finish everything before I enter my bedroom, drop my phone in this little rack with my Wi-Fi turned off. And this is also the rack where I keep my journal and my planner. So I drop my phone here, I take my journal and planner, go to my room, and I know that my phone is not beside me. I won't be tempted to look at it first thing in the morning or last thing before I go to sleep. Another thing, if you're somebody like me who has a lot of trouble falling asleep, check your caffeine intake. I used to drink, I still do drink a lot of coffee, a lot of tea. But lately, I try not to drink after 2 p.m. 3 is like maximum. Also, as we talked about adding some gratifying or relaxing activity to our night routine, I would suggest whatever you think of, like I said, crochet for me, whatever activity you think of, grab all the things that you need for it. I don't know, if you want to write something, a pencil, a piece of paper, or if you want to crochet, if you want to knit, whatever you're doing, make a small bag, put inside it everything that you need, and keep it on your bedside table, in a drawer close to your bed, or anywhere very close to you, because it's very likely that you will do that activity if it's close to you. Why do we always end up using our phone? It's because it's always close to us. That's all for this episode in this series. I really hope that the rest of this month you will work on your sleeping routine. We're on it together. Next month, I'll come again with another episode from this series and we'll work on another habit. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, do consider subscribing. Any comments that you leave, any suggestion, any advice is welcomed. Thanks again. Stay happy. Bye-bye.